Admiral Kes Vortal stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the dark emptiness of the Sol system through the main screen. 200 years had passed since the humans disappeared, and their old home still looked dead. Empty space stations drifted without power. The planets showed no signs of life. "Same as always, Admiral," reported her communications officer. "No signals from Earth. No movement anywhere in the system." Vortal nodded. She was a tall, blue-skinned Zenthari, with 4 arms and silver eyes that could see across many light spectrums. Like all her people, she lived for over 300 years, so she remembered the stories her grandmother told about humans. Strange stories that made little sense. The humans were different, her grandmother had said. They thought in ways we could not predict. They made plans we could not understand. When they fought, they never followed the rules of war. This made them dangerous. But now the humans were gone, and the galaxy felt safer. The 7 species of the Galactic Empire had expanded into human space without any problems. They used the old human colonies as supply stations and mining outposts. Life was peaceful. Dr. Ming-Yul San walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad. She was a small, gray-skinned Relvari with large black eyes and a mind that loved solving puzzles. For the past 10 years, she had studied every piece of human technology and history the Empire could find. "Admiral, I need to show you something," Dr. Yulsan said. Her voice sounded worried. "What is it, Doctor?" "I have been studying human military records. The numbers do not make sense." Vortal turned to face her. "What numbers?" "The Empire fought 3 wars with humans before they disappeared. In each war, we had more ships, better weapons, and larger armies. But humans won every battle." "Doctor," Yulsan touched her datapad, "our records say humans were weak. But if they were weak, how did they always win?" The Admiral thought about this. It was true that Empire records called humans primitive and disorganized, but every battle report told a different story. Human fleets would appear where they should not be. Human tactics made no sense until suddenly they worked perfectly. Human soldiers would do things that seemed impossible. "Maybe our ancestors wrote the records wrong," Vortal said. "No, Admiral. I think our ancestors were scared. They called humans weak because calling them strong would have been too frightening." Before Vortal could answer, alarms started ringing across the bridge. The tactical officer's scales turned bright red with excitement. "Admiral, unknown contact at the edge of sensor range. It is moving toward us at incredible speed." "Show me," Vortal ordered. The main screen changed to show a tactical display. A single dot moved across the star map faster than any known ship could travel. The computer tried to calculate the ship's size and failed. The energy readings were too high for the sensors to measure properly. "How big is it?" Vortal asked. "Unknown, Admiral. Our sensors cannot get a clear reading. The energy output is beyond our measurement scale." Dr. Yulsan stared at her data pad. Her black eyes grew even larger. "Admiral, these energy patterns match something in the human records." "What do you mean?" Humans had theoretical designs for ships much larger than anything they ever built. Ships powered by technologies we do not understand. "I thought these designs were just dreams." She looked up from her datapad. "But this ship matches those energy patterns." The unknown ship kept getting closer. Soon, it would reach them. Vortal had to make a decision. Her fleet had 12 ships, all armed with the best weapons in the Empire. But something deep in her mind told her that weapons would not help today. "Open a channel," she ordered. "All frequencies." "Channel open, Admiral." "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Kes Vortal of the Imperial Border Fleet. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." Silence filled the bridge. Everyone waited. The unknown ship continued moving toward them without slowing down. Then the speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect Imperial standard. but with an accent that made Vortal's blood run cold. "Greetings, Admiral Vortal. This is Captain Jin Haewon of the Terran Defense Force vessel, Indomitable Will. We request safe passage to the Sol system." The bridge fell completely silent. Dr. Yulsan dropped her datapad. It clattered on the metal floor, but nobody moved to pick it up. Terran meant Earth. Earth meant human. "That is impossible," whispered the communications officer. "Humans are extinct. They vanished 200 years ago." Vortal found her voice. "Captain Jin, our records show that humans left this area of space long ago. We believed your species was extinct." A sound came through the speakers that took Vortal a moment to recognize. The human was laughing. It was not a cruel laugh or an angry laugh. It sounded almost friendly. "Extinct? No, Admiral. We just had work to do elsewhere. Now we are back. We would appreciate an escort to Earth, if that is possible." The tactical officer checked his instruments again. "Admiral, the ship is now close enough for better scans. It is enormous. Length measures at least 2 kilometers. Our sensors still cannot read its full capabilities." Dr. Yulsan picked up her datapad with shaking hands. "Admiral, we need to contact Imperial Command immediately. If humans are back, everything changes." Vortal stared at the main screen. The human ship was now close enough to see. It looked nothing like the old human vessels in the history books. This ship was sleek and beautiful, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. But even its beauty could not hide the fact that it was clearly a warship. Weapon ports lined its hull like the scales of a great predator. "Contact Imperial Command," Vortal ordered. "Tell them that humanity has returned." As her communications officer sent the message, Vortal wondered what her grandmother would think if she were alive today. The dangerous, unpredictable humans were back, and they had brought technology that the Empire could not even understand. The galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place. The human ship stopped exactly 1,000 kilometers away from Admiral Vortal's fleet. The distance was perfect for communication, but far enough to avoid appearing threatening. This small detail impressed Vortal. Humans remembered proper space protocols even after 200 years away. "Captain Jin, we welcome you back to this sector," Vortal said carefully. "However, we must ask where humanity has been for the past 2 centuries. "That is a fair question, Admiral. We have been busy preparing for something important. May I suggest we discuss this in person? I would be honored to visit your ship, or you are welcome aboard the Indomitable Will." Dr. Yulsan moved closer to Vortal. "Admiral, this could be a trap," she whispered. "We know nothing about their current capabilities." Vortal considered this, but something in the human captain's voice suggested honesty. Besides, if the humans wanted to attack, their massive ship could probably destroy the entire Imperial fleet without needing tricks. "Captain Jin, you may transport to our ship if you wish. We will provide proper diplomatic protocols." "Thank you, Admiral. I will arrive with 2 of my officers in 30 minutes. The communication ended. Vortal turned to her crew. "Prepare the diplomatic meeting room. Full honors. And someone find information about human customs. I do not want to accidentally insult them." Dr. Yulsan raised her hand. "Admiral, I have studied human culture extensively. I should attend this meeting." "Agreed. What should I expect?" "Humans shake hands when meeting. They look directly into your eyes when speaking. They prefer simple, direct conversation over formal speech. And they often discuss food during important meetings." "Food? During military meetings?" "Yes, Admiral. Humans believe sharing meals builds trust between potential allies." 30 minutes later, 3 columns of light appeared in the diplomatic meeting room. When the light faded, 3 humans stood where empty space had been. All 3 wore dark blue uniforms, with silver decorations that caught the light. Captain Jin Haewon was a woman of medium height, with short black hair and intelligent brown eyes. She moved with the confidence of someone comfortable with command. The two officers with her carried themselves like experienced soldiers. "Admiral Vortal, thank you for welcoming us," Captain Jin said. She extended her hand toward Vortal. Vortal took the human's hand carefully. Jin's grip was firm, but not painful. Jin shook Dr. Yulsan's hand as well. "Doctor, I would be very interested to hear what history you have learned about us. I suspect some of it might be inaccurate." They sat around a circular table. Vortal noticed that the humans sat with their backs straight, but appeared relaxed. They did not act like people preparing for battle. "Captain Jin, the Empire's records state that humanity evacuated all colonies and disappeared completely 200 years ago. Where did you go?" Jin smiled. "We did not go anywhere, Admiral. We went deeper." "I do not understand." "Humanity developed technology to hide our worlds and ships from normal sensors. While the Empire grew larger and settled our old territories, we were building a new civilization in hidden systems throughout this galaxy." Dr. Yulsan leaned forward. "But why? Why hide for so long?" "Because we detected something coming, Doctor. Something that threatened the entire galaxy. We needed time to prepare without distractions." Vortal felt cold despite the warm meeting room. "What kind of threat?" "Oh." Captain Jin's expression became serious. "A species from outside our galaxy. They consume entire worlds and convert all life into resources for their expansion. We have been fighting them in deep space for decades." "Fighting them?" Vortal stood up quickly. "You mean they are already here?" "Not yet in Imperial space, Admiral. But they will arrive soon. That is why we are returning. The galaxy will need to work together to survive what is coming." The room fell silent. Dr. Yulsan stared at her hands. Vortal walked to the window and looked out at the human ship. Its size suddenly made more sense. This was not just a warship. It was a weapon built for fighting something terrible. "What evidence do you have of this threat?" Vortal asked. Jin touched a small device on her wrist. The room's lights dimmed, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed star maps, battle reports, and images that made Vortal's stomach turn. Massive ships, with organic surfaces covered in metal spines. Planets, stripped of all life, leaving only empty rock. Fleets of strange vessels that moved like living creatures. "We call them the Devourers," Jin explained. "They have consumed 17 galaxies that we know about. Our deep space monitoring stations detected them approaching this galaxy 60 years ago." Dr. Yulsan studied the images. "Your technology has advanced considerably. These holographic displays, 8 monographic, your ship's capabilities, your transportation system. You have made impressive progress. When you fight for survival, you learn to improve quickly," Jin said. "But we did not advance alone. Humanity found 3 other species in hidden systems who were also preparing for this threat. We have been working together, sharing knowledge and resources." "3 other species?" Vortal returned to the table. "What species?" "The Keepers, who can manipulate gravity and time. The Builders, who create living metal that grows and repairs itself. And the Watchers, who see across vast distances and predict enemy movements." Jin touched her device again. New images appeared, showing incredible technologies. Ships that could bend space around them. Weapons that fired concentrated gravity. Metal that flowed like water but was harder than diamond. "This is impossible," Vortal whispered. "Such technologies should take thousands of years to develop." "Not when 4 species work together with full cooperation," Jin replied. "Not when the alternative is extinction." Dr. Yulsan pointed at one of the battle images. "These Devourers, how do they fight?" "They adapt quickly to any strategy. They learn from every battle and become stronger. Traditional military thinking does not work against them. You need to think in ways they cannot predict. Vortal understood now. That is why humanity was always dangerous to the Empire. You think differently than other species. Exactly, Admiral. Human unpredictability, combined with keeper time manipulation, builder adaptive technology, and watcher strategic intelligence, creates strategies the Devourers cannot counter. Jin stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at Vortal's fleet with calculating eyes. Admiral, the Devourers will reach the outer edge of Imperial space within 6 months. Your current technology and tactics will not be enough to stop them. What are you proposing, Captain? Jin turned back to face them. An alliance. Humanity and our allies will help defend the Empire. In return, we ask for the Empire's full cooperation in the war effort. Dr. Yulsan spoke carefully. What kind of cooperation? Access to Imperial resources, manufacturing capabilities, and personnel. Combined fleets with joint command structure. Shared technology and information. Most importantly, trust. Vortal stood silent for several minutes. Everything she thought she knew about the galaxy had changed in one conversation. Humanity was not extinct. A terrible enemy was coming, and the Empire needed help from the species they had once feared. Finally, she spoke. Captain Jin, I do not have authority to agree to such an alliance, but I will escort you to Earth and help you contact Imperial Command. Jin smiled again. Thank you, Admiral. That is all we ask for now. The journey to Earth took 3 days. During this time, Captain Jin visited Admiral Vortal's ship daily to share meals and answer questions. Dr. Yulsan attended every meeting, filling dozens of data pads with new information about humanity's hidden years. On the second day, Jin brought something special to the meeting room. It was a simple metal box that fit easily in her hands. Admiral, Dr. Yulsan, I would like to share something from Earth with you, Jin said. She opened the box carefully. Inside were small brown objects that looked like seeds. Coffee beans, Jin explained. One of the few things humans took with us when we entered hiding. We have been growing coffee on our hidden worlds for 200 years. She used a small device to prepare the coffee. Soon, the meeting room filled with a rich, warm smell that made Vortal's nose tingle. Jin poured the dark liquid into 3 cups. This is how humans often begin important conversations, Jin said. Please try some. Vortal sipped the coffee carefully. It was bitter but warming, and it made her mind feel more alert. Dr. Yulsan drank hers quickly and asked for more. This is excellent, Dr. Yulsan said. But tell me, Captain, how did humanity hide entire worlds? Our sensors are very advanced. Jin leaned back in her chair. The Keepers taught us about dimensional folding. We learned to place our worlds in pocket dimensions that exist alongside normal space, but cannot be detected from outside. That should be impossible, Vortal said. Many things seem impossible until you understand them. Your empire has impressive technology, Admiral. But you developed it through competition and conflict between species. When species truly cooperate, sharing all knowledge freely, progress accelerates beyond imagination. Dr. Yulsan made notes on her data pad. What other technologies did you develop? The builders showed us how to create self-repairing materials. Our ships can heal damage during battle. The Watchers taught us quantum communication, allowing instant contact across any distance. And humans contributed tactical flexibility and strategic thinking. Jin touched her wrist device. New images appeared, showing human cities that floated in space without visible support. Factories that seemed to grow metal objects, like living plants. Ships that changed shape depending on their mission. But our greatest achievement, Jin continued, was learning to think as one people instead of 4 separate species. Humans, Keepers, Builders, and Watchers now work together so closely that we often forget which ideas came from which species. Vortal studied the images. Everything she saw challenged what she thought was possible. "Captain, why are you telling us this? These secrets must be valuable." "Because the Devourers are coming, Admiral. And when they arrive, the Empire will face the same choice we did: work together or die separately." On the third day, they reached Earth. Vortal expected to see the dead, empty planet that Imperial scouts had reported for 200 years. Instead, the main screen showed a world transformed. Massive space stations surrounded Earth like a protective shell. Energy barriers flickered between the stations, creating a defensive network that covered the entire planet. Ships moved constantly between the stations, but they were like nothing in Imperial databases. "My sensors cannot count all the defensive platforms," reported Vortal's tactical officer. "There are thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands." "Captain Jin," Vortal said slowly, "Earth does not look abandoned." Jin smiled. "Earth has been our main fortress world for 150 years. 3 billion people live here now, along with representatives from our 3 allied species." 3 billion? Our records showed Earth's population was only 1 billion when humans disappeared. Many humans lived on other worlds when we went into hiding. We brought them all home. Earth is now the safest place in the galaxy. Dr. Yulsan stared at the screen with wonder. "The energy output from those defensive systems is incredible. How do you power all of this?" 1. The builders taught us to harvest energy directly from space itself. We no longer need to burn fuel or split atoms. Space contains unlimited energy if you know how to collect it. Suddenly, alarms rang throughout Vortal's ship. The communications officer turned pale. "Admiral, we are receiving an emergency transmission from Imperial Command. The outer worlds are under attack." Vortal's blood froze. "Show me." The main screen changed to show Admiral Chen Blackstone, the Empire's highest military commander. His usually calm face showed fear and confusion. "All Imperial fleets, this is Admiral Blackstone. Unknown hostile forces have attacked colonies in the rim sectors. They destroyed 3 entire star systems before our forces could respond. We cannot identify the attackers, and our weapons have no effect on their ships." Jin stood up slowly. Her friendly expression was gone, replaced by the cold focus of a warrior. "Admiral Vortal, the Devourers have arrived earlier than expected. May I speak to your command?" Vortal nodded quickly. "Admiral Blackstone, this is Admiral Vortal in the Sol system. I have a human captain here who has information about the attackers." Blackstone's image flickered with confusion. "Did you say human captain? That is impossible." "Nevertheless, Admiral, she is here, and she knows what we are facing." Jin moved in front of the communication screen. "Admiral Blackstone, I am Captain Jin Haewon of the Terran Defense Force. The attackers are called Devourers. They consume all life on worlds they capture. Your current weapons and tactics cannot stop them." Blackstone stared at Jin for a long moment. "Captain, if you are truly human, and if you know how to fight these creatures, the Empire needs your help immediately. We are prepared to help, Admiral. But this will require complete cooperation between human and Imperial forces. Are you willing to place Imperial fleets under joint command?" "Captain, if you can stop these attackers from destroying more worlds, I will give you whatever authority you need." Jin nodded. "Then we begin now. Admiral Vortal, please contact your fleet commanders. Tell them to pull back to defensive positions around major worlds. Do not try to fight the Devourers with standard tactics. They will learn and adapt to anything predictable." "What about our people on the attacked worlds?" Blackstone asked. Jin's expression softened slightly. "Admiral, I am sorry. Any world the Devourers have reached is already lost. We must focus on saving the worlds we can protect." The communication ended. Vortal looked at Jin with new understanding. This was not just a ship captain. This was a military commander, with experience fighting an enemy that could destroy civilizations. Captain Jin, how many ships does humanity have? The combined human-allied fleet has 2,000 vessels, Admiral. We have been preparing for this war for decades. Dr. Yulsan looked up from her data pad. Captain, will 2,000 ships be enough? Jin walked to the window and stared out at Earth's defensive network. Doctor, we are about to find out. 3 weeks after the first Devourer attack, the situation had become desperate. 7 Imperial star systems had fallen completely. Refugee ships filled every available space dock as billions of people fled their homes. The Empire's best fleets had engaged the enemy and suffered terrible losses. Admiral Vortal stood in the command center of Earth's main defense station. Through the massive windows, she could see hundreds of Imperial ships being repaired and refitted with human technology. Dr. Yulsan worked alongside human engineers, her quick mind helping to integrate Imperial and human systems. Captain Jin had been promoted to Admiral Jin and now commanded the combined defense fleet. She stood at the central command table, studying holographic displays of the galaxy. Red markers showed where Devourer fleets had appeared. Blue markers showed Imperial worlds still under protection. The pattern is clear, Jin said to the assembled commanders. The Devourers are not attacking randomly. They are targeting worlds with high populations and industrial capacity. They want to consume as many resources as possible. Admiral Blackstone appeared on the communication screen. His uniform was rumpled, and his eyes were red from lack of sleep. Admiral Jin, we have lost contact with the Helix colonies. That is another 2 billion people. Jin nodded grimly. Admiral, I understand your frustration, but we must resist the urge to rush in and save every world. The Devourers want us to spread our forces thin. So we just let them consume entire civilizations? Blackstone's voice cracked with emotion. We save who we can, Admiral, and we prepare for the main battle. Vortal moved closer to Jin. Admiral, when will the main battle occur? Jin pointed to a cluster of stars near the center of the galaxy. The Devourers are moving toward the Imperial core worlds. They will mass their forces here, at Nexus Station, in approximately 2 weeks. That is where we make our stand. Nexus Station was the heart of Imperial civilization. It was a massive artificial world that served as the government center and home to 50 billion people. If Nexus fell, the Empire would collapse completely. Dr. Yulsan looked up from her workstation. Admiral Jin, our combined fleet has grown to 1,500 ships. The Devourers have approximately 3,000 vessels. Can we win with such odds? Numbers are not everything, Doctor. The Devourers expect us to fight like the Empire always has. Organized formations, predictable tactics, standard weapons. They have learned to counter all of these approaches. Jin touched controls on the command table. The holographic display changed to show battle formations that looked completely wrong to Vortal. Ships scattered in seemingly random patterns. Mixed formations of Imperial and human vessels, with no clear chain of command. This looks like chaos, Admiral Blackstone said from his communication screen. Exactly, Jin replied. Controlled chaos. The Devourers cannot adapt to tactics that change constantly. Human ships will use unpredictable movement patterns. Imperial ships will provide steady firepower support. Mixed formations will confuse their targeting systems. A new voice joined the conversation. Commander Sarah Chen, one of Jin's officers, appeared on a side screen. She was broadcasting from a scout ship near the Imperial border. Admiral Jin, the main Devourer fleet has begun moving toward Nexus Station. Estimated arrival in 10 days. Fleet composition is unlike anything we have seen before. Show me, Jin ordered. The command center's main display filled with images that made everyone step backward. Devourer ships had always been large and threatening, but these vessels were massive beyond understanding. The largest ship was over 10 kilometers long, its hull covered with organic growths that pulsed with dark energy. Smaller ships swarmed around the giant vessels like insects around a hive. "How many ships?" Jin asked quietly. 4,000 vessels, Admiral, including 12 of the giant command ships." The command center fell silent. Even with their improved technology and combined fleets, the human Imperial Alliance was badly outnumbered. Dr. Yulsan's voice was barely above a whisper. "Admiral, can we evacuate Nexus Station?" 2? Jin shook her head. 50 billion people? Impossible. Besides, if we lose Nexus, the Devourers will control the galaxy's hyperspace routes. They could attack any world at will. Admiral Blackstone leaned forward on his communication screen. "Admiral Jin, what are our options?" Jin stood silent for several minutes, studying the tactical displays. Finally, she spoke with the calm voice of someone who had made a difficult decision. "We use the Nexus defense grid as our primary weapon. The station's defensive systems are powerful enough to destroy even the giant Devourer ships. But we need to force them to come close to the station." "How do we do that?" Vortal asked. "We make them think we are weak. Our fleet will appear to retreat in panic. The Devourers will pursue us, thinking they have achieved easy victory. When they reach optimal range, Nexus Station will reveal its true capabilities." Commander Chen's image flickered with concern. "Admiral, that plan requires our fleet to look genuinely defeated. We will have to take real damage and real casualties to make it believable." Jin nodded slowly. "I know, Commander. Some of our ships will not survive this battle, but it is the only way to save the galaxy." Admiral Blackstone's expression was grim. "Admiral Jin, how many ships will we lose?" "Probably half our fleet, Admiral. Maybe more. The Devourers are smart. They will not commit their full force unless they believe victory is certain." Dr. Yulsan moved to Jin's side. "Admiral, there must be another way. Surely with all our combined technology, we can find a better solution." Jin turned to face her. "Doctor, for 60 years, humans have fought the Devourers in deep space. We have tried every strategy, every technology, every tactic we could imagine. This is the only approach that has ever worked against their main fleets." Vortal felt cold fear in her stomach. She was a military officer, trained for battle and sacrifice. But the idea of deliberately losing half their fleet seemed like madness. "Admiral Jin," she said carefully, "are you certain this will work?" Jin looked out the window at the combined fleet. Human and Imperial ships worked together, their crews learning to trust each other despite centuries of separation. Engineers from 4 different species shared knowledge freely. It was beautiful and fragile at the same time. "Admiral Vortal, I am not certain of anything except this. If we do nothing, everyone dies. If we fight conventionally, everyone dies. This plan gives us a chance to save most of the galaxy." She turned back to the command table and began issuing orders. "All fleet commanders, prepare your ships for combat. We depart for Nexus Station in 6 hours. And remember, when the battle begins, we are not trying to look weak. We will be weak. The Devourers must believe they are winning, until the very last moment." As the commanders dispersed to prepare their ships, Vortal remained behind with Jin. They stood together in silence, watching the fleet through the windows. "Admiral," Vortal said finally, "I understand now why the Empire feared humanity. You are willing to sacrifice everything for victory." Jin shook her head. "No, Admiral. We are willing to sacrifice everything for survival. There is a difference." The Battle of Nexus Station began exactly as Admiral Jin had planned. The combined human Imperial fleet waited in defensive formation around the massive station while Devourer ships approached from multiple directions. To outside observers, it looked like a standard military engagement. Admiral Vortal commanded the Imperial section of the fleet from her flagship. Through her communication screen, She could see Jin coordinating the entire battle from her command ship. Dr. Yulsan remained on Nexus Station, helping to manage the defensive systems that would determine the battle's outcome. Admiral Jin, Devourer forward elements are entering weapons range, reported Commander Chen from her scout ship. All ships, begin the retreat, Jin ordered. Make it look convincing. The combined fleet started pulling back toward Nexus Station, but their movement was too organized. The Devourers slowed their advance, suspicious of the obvious trap. Jin spoke quietly into her communication system. All human vessels, begin random withdrawal. Take damage. Make mistakes. Imperial ships, maintain formation but show fear. What happened next was the most difficult thing Vortal had ever watched. Human ships deliberately exposed themselves to enemy fire. Some were destroyed immediately. Others limped away with critical damage, trailing atmosphere and debris. The Imperial ships maintained better formation, but their commanders allowed panic to creep into their voices during communications. The Devourers took the bait. Their massive command ships moved forward, aggressively, eager to finish off what appeared to be a broken enemy. Smaller Devourer vessels swarmed ahead, targeting damaged ships that seemed helpless. "This is Admiral Blackstone," came a transmission from the Imperial Corps. "Our long-range sensors show your fleet is taking heavy casualties. Do you need reinforcements?" Jin responded with a voice that sounded strained and desperate. "Negative, Admiral. We can handle the situation. Minor setbacks only." But privately, she spoke to her closest commanders. Phase 1 complete. The enemy believes they are winning. All ships prepare for Phase 2. As the retreat continued, something remarkable happened. Imperial and human crews began working together in ways that surprised everyone. Human engineers used their adaptive technology to repair Imperial ships in minutes instead of hours. Imperial gunners provided covering fire for damaged human vessels, with precision that impressed their allies. Vortal watched an Imperial cruiser position itself between a damaged human destroyer and 3 Devourer attack ships. The cruiser took terrible damage, but gave the destroyer time to escape. Minutes later, the destroyer returned with emergency repair equipment and saved the cruiser's crew. "Admiral Jin," Vortal transmitted, "our people are learning to trust each other." "I see it too, Admiral. When this battle is over, we will be truly united." The Devourer fleet pressed forward, now confident of victory. The giant command ships moved within range of Nexus Station's hidden weapons. This was the moment Jin had been waiting for. "Dr. Yulsan, activate all defensive systems. Full power." The space around Nexus Station suddenly filled with energy beams, gravity weapons, and quantum disruptors. The massive defensive grid that had been hidden inside the station revealed itself in a display of firepower that made nearby stars dim by comparison. The lead Devourer command ship was destroyed in the first 5 seconds. The second and third command ships tried to retreat, but were caught by focused gravity beams that crushed them like tin cans. Smaller Devourer vessels found themselves trapped in energy fields that prevented their adaptive systems from functioning. But the battle was far from over. The Devourer fleet had 4,000 ships, and losing 12 command vessels only made them more dangerous. The remaining enemy ships spread out and began coordinated attacks on the defensive grid. "All ships, attack pattern Jin 7. Admiral Jin, broadcast. Show them what we really learned during our time away." The human Imperial fleet suddenly moved with precision that seemed impossible. Ships that had appeared badly damaged revealed that their wounds were mostly cosmetic. Formations that had looked chaotic showed themselves to be perfectly coordinated. Imperial firepower combined with human maneuverability in ways that confused and overwhelmed the enemy. Vortal watched her tactical display with amazement. Human ships moved through Devourer formations like dancers, always where the enemy least expected them. Imperial vessels provided massive firepower support with timing so perfect it seemed choreographed. The Devourers tried to adapt, but every time they adjusted to one tactic, the combined fleet switched to something completely different. Human unpredictability, Imperial discipline, and the station's overwhelming firepower created a combination the enemy could not counter. Admiral Jin, this is Dr. Yul-san. The defensive grid is performing beyond expectations. We can maintain this level of firepower for another 6 hours. Understood, Doctor. All ships, press the attack. Do not give them time to reorganize. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the space around Nexus Station was filled with debris from 3,000 destroyed Devourer ships. The remaining enemy vessels retreated toward the galaxy's edge, their invasion broken. The combined fleet had lost 400 ships and over 2 million people. It was a terrible price, but they had saved 50 billion lives on Nexus Station and stopped the Devourer invasion. 3 months later, Admiral Vortal stood in the same Earth Command Center where she had first learned about the Devourer threat. But now the room buzzed with activity as human and Imperial officers worked side by side, planning the construction of new defensive systems throughout the galaxy. Dr. Yul-san had been appointed head of the new Combined Technologies Institute. Her team included scientists from all 5 allied species, working together to develop innovations that none of them could achieve alone. Admiral Jin entered the command center carrying 2 cups of coffee. She offered one to Vortal, who had developed a taste for the human beverage. Admiral, the latest reports show that our joint patrol fleets have secured all major hyperspace routes, Jin said. No Devourer activity detected in over 60 days. Vortal sipped her coffee and smiled. The galaxy feels safer than it has in centuries. But I have a question, Admiral. Why did humanity really disappear 200 years ago? Jin looked out the window at the mixed fleet of human and Imperial ships. The truth? We were afraid, Admiral. Not of the Devourers, but of ourselves. Humans have a talent for war that sometimes frightens us. We needed time to learn wisdom, to match our fighting ability. And did you learn wisdom? We learned that strength means nothing without cooperation. Victory means nothing without honor. And survival means nothing if you abandon those who need help. Dr. Yul-san joined them at the window. The Empire has voted to offer humanity full membership with equal representation. All 7 species support the proposal. Jin nodded. We accept, Doctor. But we also want to invite our 3 allied species to join as well. The galaxy is stronger when everyone has a voice. Vortal raised her coffee cup in a toast. To the future, Admiral. To all our peoples, working together. To the future, Jin agreed. And to the understanding that we are stronger united than we ever were apart. Outside the window, ships from 7 different species flew in perfect formation, protecting a galaxy that had learned the most important lesson of all. True strength comes not from conquering others, but from standing together against the darkness.